The following story is one of the most brutal polar bear attacks of all time, not only for the victim who was eaten alive, but for his children who had to watch the entire thing. Hit that like button and subscribe right now. This is the terrifying polar bear attack of Aaron Gibbons. Welcome to Final Affliction. Polar bears are known to be one of the most fearsome predators in the natural world. You've all heard the advice when coming across a bear. If it's brown, lay down. If it's black, fight back. If it's white, good night. Luckily, polar bear attacks are very rare, and there have only been a few recorded fatalities. Despite this, the number of bear attacks worldwide have gradually been increasing over the last couple decades. Increased food scarcity and habitat destruction is forcing these animals to leave their natural environment and encroach onto human territory in search of food. What little habitat these animals have left is often used for hunting and hiking by humans, leaving them with very few places to go, as the likelihood of encountering someone increases. While brown bears have always been the main perpetrators of these bear attacks in North America, there is an alarming trend growing as polar bear attacks are on the rise. Aaron Gibbons was 31 years old in 2018 and was considered to be an incredibly experienced and talented hunter. He was a family man, someone who held his 3 children above all else and kept them safe no matter what. He lived in Nunavut, an area known to be very remote, suffering incredibly cold temperatures throughout the winter. This meant the community must help each other out if they were to survive the season. Aaron regularly used his hunting skills for the good of his community, selflessly providing meat for those in need. Aside from the cold, the area shared its land with an apex predator, the polar bear. Despite the close proximity, there had not been an attack in the area for 18 years, and the indigenous people knew to leave the animals alone, creating an understanding between the bears and the people of mutual respect and solitude. Naturally, there had still been encounters with the bears, so a patrol had been set up on the outskirts of town to protect the inhabitants. Their job was to redirect any bears who got too close to the settlement. Aside from a few interactions, there was relative harmony between the people and the bears. On July 3rd, Aaron decided to visit Sentry Island with his children to take them fishing and spend some quality time together. The island was around 10 miles away from their home by boat and was a regular fishing spot for locals and tourists alike, particularly as it was a hot spot for beluga whales. The family planned on gathering some bird eggs on the island, and as soon as they landed on shore, the children ran off the boat, excited to spend time with their dad for the day. He briefed them on the do's and don'ts of their activities to make sure they would be as safe as possible, but he didn't foresee any issues for the day. After explaining some of the dangers, the children headed off to collect their eggs. Aaron was proud to see how excited they were and was ready to slowly teach them everything he knew so that they could grow up protected by his knowledge. While watching the children, he spotted something in the distance, and the longer he stared at it, the colder his blood turned. A polar bear was slowly stalking his youngest daughter, creeping closer and closer to where she was searching. The bear's ears were facing backwards, signaling to Aaron that the bear considered his daughter to be prey, and he knew that there was no way that she would win the fight against the bear. At this time, she was completely unaware, assessing a nearby bird's nest to see which eggs she should take back to her dad. Aaron shouted to his children, telling them to run to the boat as fast as they could. He sprinted towards them, trying to get between the bear and the children, but as he ran, he realized he had left his rifle on the boat. He was running towards a polar bear on the hunt with no protection but his bare hands. With no time to go back for his rifle, he began hurling rocks at the animal in an attempt to distract or scare it away from his children. Aaron was desperate and knew he would do anything he could to save his children. Thankfully, a few of his rocks hit the animal and confused it, stopping the predator in its tracks momentarily. He was so thankful that his children were no longer in the animal's pursuit that it took him a second to realize that all of the bear's attention was now fixed on him instead, and he was completely unarmed. He shouted to his eldest daughter on the boat, telling her to call for help on the radio while he continued to throw rocks at the bear, hoping to scare it off. Aaron quickly realized that the rocks weren't scaring the bear away as it continued to approach him. Terrified and running out of options, he decided to break all the rules. He turned his back on the animal and ran for the boat. He could hear the bear behind him and knew that it was much faster than him. He just needed to get close enough to the boat so his daughter could throw him the rifle. It was his only chance. He ran along the shore, praying that he would be able to make it back to his children in time. Unfortunately, polar bears run more than 30 miles per hour. It was impossible for him to outrun the bear. He looked at his children one last time as he was pulled to the ground, while the bear leapt onto him from behind. The animal grabbed him by the neck and began throwing him from side to side, the strength of the bear making Aaron seem like a rag doll in its grip. The pain must have been excruciating as his body was thrown into the rocks and ice beneath him, while his children were forced to watch. When Aaron finally stopped moving, the bear climbed on top of him and began to eat him, ending the life of Aaron Gibbons. The children were traumatized and begged for someone to come and help them over the radio. They hid in the boat, listening to the sounds of their father being devoured by the predator. Their prayers were soon answered as an emergency team arrived and took the children away before shooting and killing the polar bear. Aaron's body was half-eaten at this point and was taken back to his family in Arviat. Everyone was devastated by the loss. He was an important part of the community and well-liked by all. His sacrifice was not in vain, as he saved his 3 children, despite losing his life. 2 years later, his bravery was recognized in a Canadian ceremony by the Governor-General and Commander-in-Chief of Canada, Julie Payette. He received the Star of Courage for the defense of his children, and although he was not alive to receive it, his family were able to keep it as a physical reminder of the courage of Aaron, who was truly a hero to his family before meeting his final affliction.